Hi folks, hope you're doing well. Okay, this one. What had just come into my mind was about raising the bar. And the fact I've talked so much about raising the bar, and I've talked so much about the reason why is because the bar's been lowered to such a degree. I think we're coming to the time when we will see once again, because we have seen in the past, but we will see once again the obvious difference between trained by the world, as in Christian ministers trained by a worldly system, and trained by God. We're going to see the difference, because I said we did in the past. People like Wigglesworth were trained purely by God. They weren't trained by a worldly system, especially because there was something new coming in. It was the Pentecostal church. It was back to the spiritual gifts. Now, relearning all of that through Scripture, and that had to be taught by God, because the world wasn't teaching it. And actually, at that point in time, they didn't have Bible colleges. No, but they still had a church system for producing ministers. But they couldn't do that with that, because this was something new. So this required people who would have an ear for God, and who would be led. And when you look at Wigglesworth, he was rough, he was gruff. He wouldn't have settled. He wouldn't have been accepted in the churches now. God, no. Absolutely not. He'd be storming out of churches now. He'd be looking at the Pentecostal church down the road from me, that Community Church of God. Oh my God. Yeah. He would be so... Yeah, I think if he spent time in that church, observing what they do, how they do things, yeah, I think a man who was very righteous would suddenly become quite unrighteous in his language. I think he would swear somewhat, yeah. I don't know whether he swore. I imagine he did at a point, and then, did better and learned not to. But at a point he did, yes. Yeah. But we have seen the difference between trained by man and trained by God. And it is staggering. And I've given you all the reasons why it is staggering. But this is the point when you come across, Wigglesworth was offensive. People were offended by him in so many ways. His techniques and what he did and the way he did things was highly offensive in those days. But it worked. And that's the point, it worked. Because it was God. But it was unusual. I've told you about the times where, it's been reported, where when he came to a town, they brought people from the hospital. And they brought a man who was basically incredibly close to death, because there was nothing the hospital could do for this man. They knew that there was nothing they could do. So they brought him to this minister that everyone was talking about, and Wigglesworth went down the line, got to this man and thumped him in the chest. Actually punched him in the chest. And Wigglesworth was a big man. He wasn't a little fella. He was quite a powerful man. Because Wigglesworth would attack the sickness. That's what he saw, what he was doing. He was attacking the sickness. If you had an issue with your stomach, a sickness or an illness in your stomach, he would punch you in the stomach. Because he was attacking it. Now, of course, in church today, you would get arrested for that, wouldn't you? You'd have people grabbing your arms and saying, "Oh no, you can't do that. Call the police, call the police, call the police." Yeah. How far the bar has fallen, eh? Yeah. See, that's the thing. When I've talked about raising the bar, I've talked about how far the bar has fallen. Just in 100 years. Just in 100 years, we've had men of God who walked in power. And when you see the Pentecostal churches now in comparison, oh my God. So they should take the name Pentecostal away from their title. Really? I'd be embarrassed to name my church Pentecostal Church if we weren't doing it. I'd say, yeah, we can't use that name until we're actually being that. Yeah? Yeah. But as I say, I think we're going to see that again soon. I think we're going to see people who have been trained by God. And we're going to marvel at that, but we shouldn't. Because that should be where the bar is set. That should be where the bar was always set. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend. And bye-bye.